Ole Miss dropped a game in Rupp Arena to Kentucky. At least the effort was a little bit better, but we talked to Tim Thomas about whether or not this season can be salvaged.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the most watched Ole Miss podcast out there. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now it's the #1 sports podcast network in America. That is all because of fans like you taking in content like this, and we definitely will not forget it. On today's show, we're going to talk about Ole Miss fighting hard at Kentucky, but falling short. I guess at least you can't blame effort on this game this time, but this basketball season is kind of sitting on a knife's edge right now. So we're going to talk to former player Tim Thomas about the loss in Rupp Arena and whether this season can be salvaged. All of this and more on today's Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Remember, we're free and available on all the podcast apps and on YouTube, and a special hello to our insiders and everydayers who make the show what it is, and that is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Tim. After the Auburn game, effort was the main talking point. The effort was obviously there in Kentucky, and that was just a case where you lost a basketball game, right?
Yeah, it was good to see. I was proud of the guys. Beard had them ready. Store made a lot of great plays, a lot of one-on-one moves. Dia came through and made some good plays, offensive plays, but I hate to say it, we scored 23 points the first half. We just got to be able to score more. Even though you play the good defense, even though you do pretty good on the rebounding end and turnovers, you keep it competitive, and we just got to score more. Right now, Pinkins has got to come through, and our captain, our Batman, Kamardine, he has really got to come through. I've been kind of disappointed. I don't know how we would grade him right now, but maybe a C or a D, because we really thought I did that he was going to really come through and make the difference. You got to have a cap. You got to have a point guard, and he is that guy, and it just hasn't been happening.
Yeah, it all comes down to shot making, I think, with this team. Although we'll talk in just a second. Rebounding on opponents' free throw shots should be a no-brainer, but is all about shot making for this Ole Miss team. I was watching the game against Kentucky thinking, it's like, man, what I wouldn't give to have a Matt Morrell back right now.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure where we're going to go from here. It's going to be tough as you talk about the schedule coming up. We're 3-4 in SEC, 11 games left. 6 are at home, 5 are away. It's tough, man. We got Vanderbilt coming up, and they beat Kentucky 25 last night in Nashville. They beat State 32 last Saturday, so they're really good. They got several guys can go. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be really hard. I try to be positive. I try to be really positive, but unless Beard can get a light under these guys, it's going to be a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, the season right now is kind of teetering on a knife's edge. I mean, it could go off the rails at any moment, and with the games that they have coming up, I mean, you mentioned Vanderbilt being the next game, and they're on an absolute roll right now. Alabama's playing like professional basketball players at the moment, so they're a talking point of teams that are coming. At this point, I struggle to find where the win is going to come from. Now, because of Chris Beard, I know a win or two is going to come from this that we don't expect. But with this basketball team, it's just not predictable right now, and that is a shame after what Ole Miss went through last year.
Yeah, we have lost so many preseason games, pre-conference games that we should have won. If we'd have won just a couple of them, it'd have made a big difference. But we got to win probably 10 SEC games, and as we was talking about, trying to find those wins out of the 11 that we have coming. Then you have the SEC tournament. It's going to be hard to find any. I wish this way. I hope we can do it. I hope Dia will step up. I have trouble with Dia still. I know I harp on him a lot. You just talk about the free throw issues. I have an instance. We were at the Rupp Arena in the SEC tournament back in my day, and I had a guy I was blocking out, and they were shooting, and I was blocking out on a low post, and you got to maintain these guys. I had a guy actually, Kentucky guy, pull me actually down, and he got the rebound, put it back in. Nothing was called. So I've seen it. I've been there, done that. Some of the things Dia does, I watched him specifically to see, and he loves the offensive end. He loves to shoot a three when it's not even there. And he did take it inside. I was so proud. He took several inside, got a couple blocked, but he still went back in there again. So good to see that. But I see why Beard has struggles with him on the blocking out and defensive end. He'll block out for a second, and then he just lets this guy go, and the guy gets the rebound. He'll block out, and he'll stand there in position to get the rebound and don't go up to get it. We were told back in the day, if you're down and got your position and the guy reaches over your head, it's kind of not – better close your ears, guys. They said you got to go up and break his arm. So that means go up and get the ball and come down with his arm. I never did that, but meaning well, it is the thought there that you got to be tough and you got to be strong and you can't be soft. And Dia, as we said last week, he's really soft. He stands there. He don't get after the ball. If it's a loose ball, he's a spectator sport guy. He just don't do that. So that's the struggle that we see week in, week out with Dia. He loves the offensive end. He loves to shoot the three and make a fade back, and I love it. He hits a lot of it. We got to have him. Let's be honest. If he don't go and Thor don't go, and if Kamardine don't come around, we're in trouble. Pinkins got to do his things, and Travis Perry, he had a rough day in Lexington. He had a rough day. I think he's 0 for 3, and they were booing him the whole time. I know that was a struggle for him, but it was not good. If he's not shooting well, Beard takes him out, and he don't see the light of day the rest of the game. Because if he's not shooting well, and he's hard to play defense with his size and athletic ability, and he don't rebound, so he just he takes him out.
All right, when we come back, we are going to talk about what Ole Miss can do to maybe salvage what is going on, if that is even possible at this point. But we're going to talk about all of that with Tim Thomas, former Ole Miss basketball player, right here on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The WNBA has released its 2026 schedule, featuring a 44-game regular season beginning on Friday, May 8th. The league's historic 30th season includes expansion teams Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, with opening weekend highlights such as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever hosting Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings, and a rematch of the 2025 finals between the Aces and the Mercury. And unrivaled, Miami felt the breeze as Paige Beckers powered the breeze to a 75-68 win over the Lunar Owls, finishing with 28 points and 7 assists. She was joined by 20-year-old Dominique Malunga, who added 21 points, 8 rebounds, and became just the second player to ever dunk in an unrivaled game. In college hoops, South Carolina handed Vanderbilt its first loss of the season with a dominant 103-74 win. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcast you're listening to, and give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, but it helps keep all of this free. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast in America. That is all because of fans like you taking in content like this, and we appreciate it. You already live your team every single day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Ole Miss with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 per year. Go to lockedonolemmiss.supercast.com or check the link out down in the show notes below. That is really awesome. And the all-access flavor of the Everydayer Club, we have Coach Corey Burton, we have Mike Huseman, we have Dalen Flowers, And we have my show that is called After the Show, where we talk about the podcast that goes on the morning. It's kind of a little bit of behind the scenes. And if any new information has come out, that's available on the All Access as well. So get that, and we'll be right back with Tim Thomas. All right, Tim, one thing you said there's 11 games left. I think, what is it? Ole Miss 3-4 overall. So that means they essentially have to win 7 of 11 games, or 7-4, to have a shot at the tournament. And we mentioned the schedule that they have set up. I guess my question for you is, can Ole Miss turn it around in these final 11 games to get those 7 wins?
If anybody can do it, Beer can do it, and his good staff. So we'll see what happens. We got the guys. And if they'll play hard and do their thing, we were, let's talk about it. They on rebounding, we were -2, not bad. That's pretty good considering the norm. +2 on turnovers, which is good. That's a couple things we say we got to do. It seems like the one thing that seems to be really bad right now is free throws, and we're shooting too many outside shots. You saw Kentucky; they took to the hole about every time. You thinking, take it downhill, and Store does that some. Dia did it a few times. I think we're gonna have to do it more. Pinkins and Kamardine, all those guys are going to start taking it to the goal and get fouled, because they shot 38 free throws to our 21. We made 14 free throws to their 28. So 14-point difference there just on the free throws. That's something I think we'll see this coming week if we do get to play the game. I think it's still on. I hadn't really heard for sure it's on. I know the ladies are playing in Birmingham against Vanderbilt this Friday night, I believe. So that's a cool thing. If people around that area can go see that game in Birmingham, is where UAB plays the Legacy Center. But good for them for that. They're having a great season. So proud of them. But for us, that's what I'm saying. The rebounding is decent. The effort has been decent against Kentucky. We got to maintain that. And the only thing I can see is Dia, instead of taking it to the hole a couple of times, then he'd take it maybe 10 to 12 times. The Store does a pretty good job with that. The one just getting our free throws is Store, pretty much him. And then Jiffy needs to come in and do something to help. Travis Perry's got to help. Pinkins, I think he needs to score 20 a game. We need to give him opportunity. Who's got a prettier shot than he does? I thought Travis Perry did, but Travis just for whatever reason, it don't
streaky.
go in.
He's streaky, yeah.
He's streaky, and he don't go in consistently streaky. But Pinkins his goes in regularly, good average. So maybe we can get him to help us out some. But I know they played Zach Day, and we were thinking, well, he's a walk-on. I don't know if there's such a thing, but he came in, did all right. He hit 2 threes, had several rebounds. He plays good defense. When he plays good defense, and he really is the best player on that play, he don't get the call. They'll call it on the other. They'll let the other guy have the call, and he gets called a foul. I had some of that back in the day. I remember that really well. If you had a guy like Bowie or Dominique Wilkins or Barkley, and I was guarding him, if they made a move inside, no matter if I had my hand straight up in perfect position, a lot of times they'd call it on me exactly. So I know the feeling. I'm not going to go into any details about what happened there and where we might get into that rabbit hole, but there is something to that. But we need him. If he's going to hustle like he did, he could come in occasionally and give us some help. But that's the one I see. The only thing I can see right now is when everything else is good, is maybe going to the hole more and getting fouled and hitting our free throws. We have a pretty good percentage in hitting our free throws.
Yeah, and the disappointing thing right now would probably be the big man for Ole Miss when you watch this season. Although I will say this, the player that has been flashing more than the others is Corey Chest. I don't necessarily have a problem with him at all. James Scott, that's upsetting. I just expected more, I guess.
Yeah, I did too. I really thought he would be a double-double every time, and it's not happening. I'm not sure exactly why that is going on. Some days you can see him kind of really getting in there and doing things. But Chess, good to see. He had 10 rebounds. He's not a great scorer. I think he'll develop into that maybe in the next year or so, but it's probably too late this year. He don't have the confidence. He don't have the, he had a 3 other day, and I think he was more surprised than anybody except me. But he has a decent shot. He brings the ball down. He can handle the ball. he dishes it off really well. So I think next year we'll see him really stepping up to that role. But for us this year, like I said, we'll see how it goes. Beer's got he's got his people in line. If they can make it out, big win if we could beat Vanderbilt. Oh, big win. They're up there in the ranked. I'm not sure where they are right now this week, but they're like 18-3, having a good conference season. So we could beat them. That would be great.
Yeah, and listen, I'm going to make a comparison right now, and everybody's going to roll their eyes. But I'm not comparing the player to the player. I'm comparing the development track. That's what I'm comparing. But the Corey Tress track, if he would have came here as a true freshman to now and gone through, it would look a lot similar to what Ansu Cisse did back in the 90s. You can see him growing, ball handling, doing all this stuff, because a lot of people might not remember Ansu when he first got to Ole Miss. He was just a springy, athletic, big guy, and he developed into the Ansu that everybody thinks of when they think about him now. Corey Tress does. In a year, if that outside scoring comes with as springy as he is around the goal and the way he can defend, he has a really high ceiling.
Yeah, I agree. He has the jumping ability. Like I used to compare him to early this year to Dominic Wilkins and other guys. He can really leap. He can really get up. They do a lot of lobs to him at times. And you're right. If he can get the outside shot going, and he needs to develop an inside presence too, be able to get open like Dia does, get open down there and make a move here and there and put it in. With his leaping ability, if he goes one way, another guy, he could dunk it very quickly. Dia sometimes, I wish he would just go ahead and dunk it. He's right there in front of the goal. I don't know if that's a lazy issue. I'm always beating up on him. I don't know if it's a lazy issue, effort issue, but he'll try to do it with his left hand, which he goes in a lot of times. A lot of times he'll mess around and get it blocked. And all he'd have to do is just take the ball and slam it. He's 6'9", 6'10", a good body, strong body, but sometimes for whatever reason, he just don't click. I watched they show Beard right after they get his shot blocked, and Beard's thinking, man, just go up and dunk it, man. Please dunk it. But sometimes he does, sometimes he don't. But to us to go forward, to have any chance of doing anything the rest of the year, we got to have Store to keep doing his thing. I'm talking about scoring wise, because we can defend them all day long. And if we can score but 23 points in the first half, I had a 10 and under team score 23 points in the first half. So we got to do better than that. And our guys, got to do better. Perry got to come on. He's got to come on. And Pinkins, he's the one I'm picking to make a big difference in the scoring. He's available. He knows how to do it. And Barry just got to have the confidence in him to do it.
All right, when we come back, we will put the finishing touches on this episode, talk a little bit more about the Vanderbilt Commodores and the season coming as a whole. We'll also talk a little bit of Ice Storm. Tim is in northern Alabama, so we'll find out what that was like for him. So all of that's coming back and coming up next. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part always hasn't been so simple. That is why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with fans. I pulled up the Game Time app, picked an upcoming NBA game. Orlando Magic is right around where I am, and it was quick. Tickets arrived within minutes of that. I love seeing the all-in price up front, no surprise fees at checkout. They have great last-minute options as well, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. It takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege or Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time at Zap today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. Gametime.co. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one final kickoff, one final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60. And FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if that bet wins. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's all over. So this is the last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, Tim, up here, you were in northern Alabama. How was the storm for you? Because Oxford just got obliterated.
We didn't get that. So I'm so thankful to the Lord that we didn't. We got a little ice the one night, and by the next day it was already gone. The streets were clear, all good. But Oxford, like I heard from people that I know there, I've been in touch with them, they really got slammed, kind of catastrophe. Maybe really the trees, the groves, picture, you remember the grove. I know a lot of beautiful places around there. So hopefully, Lord willing, they can get it all cleaned up. I understand the power's back home to most everybody. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people in Oxford and around that whole area, Tennessee. I know we have viewers from all those areas. It's a tough time, and we'll be praying for you guys. I think it will go well.
Yeah, the mayor of Corinth, Tom Vanderford, he's in Corinth. He had to stay at a shelter one night because power being out, and he had a pipe burst in his house. So he went through that. Corey Burton, who does our all access stuff, the Coach Corey stuff going on, they were without power in Nashville for several days. I think it just came back on. It will be nice for everybody to get back to normal of all this. And it feels weird to even complain about it, but I'm sitting down here in Winter Haven, Florida, and the last time it snowed here is in 1977. I mean, it's been 50 years since a snowflake has fallen. There's a chance it could snow Friday night, and I'm not here for that. That's the reason I moved to Florida, was to get away from that even being a possibility.
Yeah, it's fun. We didn't get it, like I said. I'm glad we didn't, but the snow was pretty awesome. Now, just ice is the struggle. I really hate the ice. That's the problem when you're dealing with this. But the snow, now you can deal with that. You can build you a snowman. You think you remember how to do one? That would be cool.
I think I could pull one off. It would be a tiny one here, but up there it would be all right. Anybody that went through it, I do feel sorry for you going through it, but it's nice to know, Tim, that you kind of made it through. All right, so as this season comes to a close, like I said, this season is teetering on a knife's edge, and it could go either way at this point, and a difficult portion of the schedule, 5 or 6 games, is coming up. What do you think Ole Miss needs to do in the next 6 games to put them on track? Is it 3-3 or something like that?
Yeah, we're 3-4. We got Vandy. That's the key. You can talk about, we did 11 games, and we'll be looking. We got to win 7. We got to win 1-0. That's where we're at. That's kind of the way you got to look at it these days, because you can't look ahead to Alabama or Texas. Vandy, they're the key. They're at home. I assume they're going to play at home Saturday. So they're the one. They're got a good team. A new coach, pretty much. Mark Byington. Don't know a lot about him. I know I've watched him a few times. They got some really good players. He really did good in the portal. He won. He didn't miss. He didn't miss in the portal. They're really good players. The nickel kid, really good shooter. The guy inside, McLaughlin, I think he was like 11 and 12 last night, points and rebounds. And they got a kid, Tanner, really good guard. They're really exceptional team. It's going to be tough to beat them at home. I'll just be, if we beat them, I'll probably be surprised. They're that good. 18-3 overall. They went out during the preseason and beat some really talented teams. And they got my attention quick, just kind of like the football team the last couple of years. They're not the old Vandy. They're back. They're right now with the transfer portal and the doctors or whoever's giving the money for the NIL, they're back in the relevancy of the SEC.
Yeah, who would have thought that the school that's the richest in the Southeastern Conference, and yes, I'm talking about including Texas, would do well in the NIL era if they decided to go all in. And now all of a sudden they win 10 games in football. Their basketball team's top 10. They've got money and they're using it. And honestly, I talked to Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy, who helps us on the All Access channel, it was Byington that kind of got everybody to buy into the NIL that helped Clark Lee even. It was a basketball started thing, and now Vanderbilt is kind of enjoying a little bit of a renaissance athletically.
Yeah, they are. They're not too far away from me. I got offered by them back in the day. I know everybody wants to hear that. But, 17, 18-year-old kid, we didn't have the NIL back then, just to let you know that. I had a choice between them and Ole Miss, and I didn't like their colors, man. I didn't like their colors. I like Ole Miss's blue and red. I love the Ole Miss. I love the Rebel aspect. I was a Rebel at West Morgan High School, West Morgan Rebel. So first thing I did the first day I was there, I got a shirt. Once a Rebel, always a Rebel. But I know y'all wanted to hear that. Sorry about that. But it's a great thing. I ended up with Ole Miss. It's where I need to be. It's where, man, I wouldn't have started right off the bat. But within a month, the guy that was ahead of me, he flunked out of school. And I started 18 SEC games all of a sudden, as a freshman. Only a freshman, John, Joe Dean used to say. But he was a good man, Joe Dean. I don't know if you remember him, but he's a really good person, really helped the SEC.
That was the string music guy, right?
Yeah, string music.
Yeah.
Only in Oxford, Mississippi.
All right, Tim, thank you very much for stopping by and talking about the game, and we will talk to you next week, buddy.
All right, see you guys. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy. All right, thanks again for tuning in to this week's Locked On Ole Miss podcast, Look at Basketball with Tim Thomas. We're going to continue to talk about Ole Miss basketball and even the transfer portal and Trinidad Chambliss and all that. Make sure you subscribe and follow the show so you can get all the episodes in your timeline. We're on all the social channels as well, so check that out. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Ole Miss ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonolemiss.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we're going to send you on over to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. And on audio, we'll make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football or Locked On SEC. Hotty toddy, everybody. And the transfer portal's closing, basketball's wrapping up, and baseball's right around the corner. Should be really interesting to see.